Hey, everybody, welcome to day 253 of the Daily Stoic. All right, here's the quote for the day. It's a long one, so pay attention. Here's a lesson to test your mind's mettle. Take part of a week in which you have only the most meager and cheap food, dress scantily in shabby clothes, and ask yourself if this is really the worst that you feared. It is when times are good that you should gird yourself for tougher times ahead. For when fortune is kind, the soul can build defenses against her ravages. So it is that soldiers practice maneuvers in peacetime, erecting bunkers with no enemies in sight and exhausting themselves under no attack, so that when it comes, they won't grow tired. Seneca. All right, so as I've been thinking about this quote today, what what keeps coming back to me is a couple of things, right? One, when I was in the military, we practiced all the time, right? And one of the main reasons why we practiced all the time was because we wanted to commit things to muscle memory, or at least that's what the military called it. And basically, what that was is that we practiced so often in so many different scenarios that when we were in combat and those scenarios happened, or scenarios like them happened, we automatically knew what to do. We didn't question, we didn't have to think about it, we just responded. And so I think that is part of what this quote is talking about today. We should be drilling constantly. Constantly, we should be drilling ourselves so that when the bad times come, we're ready. We know what to do. We know how to do it, and we know what our plan of action will be, right? The other thing is, too, is that I think the second part of this quote is that when times are good, we should often put ourselves through some self-induced trials. Not because we have to, but because we want to be prepared for when the coin goes to the other side. So if we're in a time of prosperity, we want to train ourselves to be able to operate in a time when things are less, when they're scarce, when it's not as prosperous. And so we want to be able to train ourselves to operate in good times, just like we do in bad times, in peaceful times and in war times. So what we really want to do is, according to this quote, is that when things are good, when we have plenty, when we are, living fat, dumb, and happy, we need to give ourselves some trials to remind us that it won't always be that way, number one. Number two, we need to constantly be training ourselves against our fears. And a lot of our fears are centered around material things. And so if we were to take those material things away, say like, for instance, what would happen if you decided that for a test you lost your car for a day? You didn't have a car, so you had to find another way to get to your job, get to your friends, get to your party, whatever it is that you were supposed to do that day. You had to find another way, whether that was the bus, whether that was walking, whether that was getting the old rusty bicycle out of the garage, whatever that was, and you had to use that instead of your car for a day, right? A lot of people are sitting right there now going, man, that would freaking suck, dude. That would suck. But what if you went through that exercise? What if you went through and did that, and for one whole day you figured out other ways to get to where you needed to go without using your car? So you look at that as a trial, tribulation right there that you're putting yourself through. But think of the advantage of that if, say, in the future sometime your car broke down and you had to leave it with the mechanic, and the mechanic's like, I'm sorry, I don't have a car to give you. You're going to have to go without your car for a day. Well, had you never done that exercise, you would be totally lost. You'd be starting over from scratch. You wouldn't know what to do. But if you'd done that exercise in the past, then you've already got a plan of action in place. You're like, oh, hey, no problem. You know what I'm saying? No problem. I can catch the bus from here and go over here, and then I can get to the house and I can dust off the bike and I can get to where I need to go for the day. Can I come back and get it tomorrow? It's not a big deal then, because you've already trained yourself. You've already prepared yourself for this event. And that's what I think this quote is really talking about. So I'd love to hear what you think this quote is talking about, or what you feel this quote is trying to tell us. So please leave your thoughts and comments below this video and let's you and I have a conversation about it. Also, I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and let's all strive harder each and every day to live life more like a Stoic.